Hello, friends. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin charts together. But I will have to hit the pause button for just a second because I have some cake here. And I have a cup of tea. Ooh. And anybody who knows anything about Rocky Outcrop knows that he likes a bit of tea and a bit of cake. And we're back. Okay, so you can see the price right now is $10,888 per Bitcoin. And let's take a look at the charts together. Thank you so much for joining me. This is, of course, Rocky Outcrop, where you get 100% quality technical analysis and all that good stuff. Okay, so what have we got on the go at the minute? Let's just kind of review things, take a step back, shall we, and just kind of be a bit more objective about the charts instead of having anything influence our thoughts, such as CME gaps and all the rest of it. So what have we got at the minute? We have this overall upward trend since March. Okay, that's overall upward trend since March. We came up towards a top and had here, toppy area, and it didn't actually turn around. The pricing, despite the bearish divergence that we can see here between this high and the subsequent high on the charts. In fact, we had a symmetrical triangle for a few months. Then the prices broke out of that and went up towards the top side, doing the measured move off of it. And we came in and we had this head and shoulders effect here, and then dropped down and did the measured move off of that. This is, of course, a short to medium term reversal pattern. Of course, it can also be a long term reversal pattern as well. I mean, it's just a reversal pattern, right? And then we came down here to the most recent lows that we've had. And since then, we've put in a high and what could be conceived as a higher low. And now we could be on the way to putting in a higher high. So that kind of frames up the perspective for us. If we were to put in a higher high over here than compared to this high, then what are we looking at there in the end? Are we looking at a continuation of this overall upward trend, or are we looking at something else? Well, the something else would really boil down to whether or not we're able to go higher than this right-hand shoulder of the head and shoulders here at 11,000 or 12,000 really. Because if we get above 12,000, then things are very much more positive than they would otherwise be. Okay, that of course is another big 10% chunk up from where we are just now. And looking at this price action here, this is the real key for us. Just first off, can we get to 11,100 and something and put in and close out the day above that area or not? Now, what would happen if we didn't put in a higher high than this over here? Well, at that point, we could start to look towards whether or not we come in and put in a lower low or indeed a higher low. So let's just get the brush tool out. I've got a lot of drawings on this chart, don't I? Yeah. Let's see. Go over to Bybit where there's less drawings, right? Yeah. Okay. So if I get the brush tool out, there's a couple of things I want to talk about in today's episode. It's quite simple, really, and I'll be done in no time at all. Honestly, less than 10 minutes today. I bet you thought I wasn't even going to do an episode, actually, what with it being so late for this one being published. I bet you wondered. Anyhow, here we are, and we're doing it. So this was our previous high we're talking about. First off, actually, so since we have this Fibonacci on the go here, let's just review the drawings that we had previously. Okay, so we had this rising wedge on the go and this Fibonacci retracement. Now what happened was we came in and we hit the 50% area, having gone past the 236 over here at 10,400, and then we came back down, did the full measured move off of the wedge area, and then actually managed to retake the 236 with this bullish engulfing candle here on the 24th of September. So now I can get rid of all of that, in fact. Okie dokie. Well, yeah, the Fibonacci, just I suppose, since we're still looking at this, we're above the 382 over here, which is very good to see. And I suppose, in fact, we could sort of extend this, we get more information as well by looking at this from this perspective, that we're up above the golden pocket area in terms of this retracement, and that's good. Okay, so we're above the 382 over here, and we're looking at the 50% area at 11,660 or 11,166, and saying, can we get past this 50% and therefore get past our previous high and go up and perhaps come in for this golden pocket over here or not? Now, what is this Fibonacci retracement? This is a Fibonacci retracement from over there at the highs here and to the lows down here. So I'll just actually leave that on the charts and drag it over a little bit so that we can still see the numbers and whatnot reflecting with the current price action. and do what I was going to do with the brush before. So we had this low over here, then we had a high here, and then we have a higher low over here. So we've got a question, can we get above this area here at 11,100 and put in perhaps another higher high, question mark? Or will we see the prices sink back down and put in what could be a lower low over here, question mark? Or will we end up in between these two areas, in between this low before and this high here? In which case, would we be doing something like this in this period of time? In which case, we would maybe have another symmetrical triangle, which would be a consolidation pattern after having had a reversal pattern on the charts. Okay, so that would be kind of negative in a sense, with a slight leaning towards the negative case, given that the prior trend running into this here is actually a downward trend if we don't break up above that 11,100 area. Indeed, if we don't really break up above 12,000, but that's a different sort of story. This, in terms of trading this at the start of this new week that we've got here, this is really the question that we have. If we go down past this zone over here, then of course that is very bearish. Bearish. Doo-doo. And if we go up past this zone over here, then this is of course quite bullish. But what does that mean in terms of the medium term? Really, where would that potentially be taking us? Well, of course, we've already kind of discussed this part already to death. We could come up for a 786 Fibonacci retracement here, which is a common enough reversal retrace point on the go here, and or indeed in at the golden pocket just here as well. These two areas just here. We could just be doing either of those two common retraces before then continuing with the downward trend, or we could be going up to higher highs, right, and then thereafter, and that brings us up towards the 12,500 area. Would be the top on. I suppose that 5 looks like a 3, doesn't it? 12,500 area would be the kind of the most greediest you could really be with it, with two targets down below there of 11,800 and 11,500 really as being the next ones that you would really be looking to here and here as your bullish targets. Beyond that, you're talking about being really greedy, and it's not really in the context of what we're doing right now in terms of trading this. Now this, though, in terms of being kind of interesting with the bearish case scenario, you're looking at a couple of things. First off, of course, you've got 10,200 or so, 10,100 really, because while this is a potential higher low, if we do come down lower than this area, then this no longer really looks like a higher low overall. Instead, it just looks like this was the low, this was a lower high, and this is just flux in between, and you could just kind of scribble over this and ignore all of this price action and then look at it coming down lower again. Okay, so I hope you take away from this thing. That's a valuable lesson to be had right there in terms of kind of establishing whether one thing is a higher low or not. And so we're really looking towards this 10,100 zone, right? So their first sort of 10,100 zone here, that's the first sort of bearish target. Then thereafter, there's a couple extra targets to look to, just in terms of this price action that we've had on the go here for quite a wee while. So if I stick on the VPVR, then you can see the point of control when you include all of this information. If I go back a wee bit further, it stays more or less the same place. Going a wee bit further, it stays more or less the same place. You can see that there's this point of control here where we had a lot of price action happen, and it ties up fairly nicely with this 382 Fibonacci retracement on the go over here. We'll cover what that 382 Fibonacci is in a second here. So that becomes your next target towards the downside, and then after that, I suppose what we could look to would be this target here at 8,500 or so, and that would be your very much greedy target towards that 5 yet again looks like a 3. 8,500. So you've got 12,500 and 8,500. That $4,000 difference is really the range that we could potentially be in here in terms of the macro before we really sort of hammer in and say like, well, in terms of like the sort of the late to the party retail trade world starts looking at it and saying that they figured out what's finally going on, you know, and where's our pal hiding at? Come on, show yourself, matey. Where our pal has his chit chat. Where's his chit chat at? Here he is. So then, it goes from being, the conversation goes from being who was lucky enough to get in under 10K to changes over to, oh, I've just discovered these new price targets in once we go past the 9,000 zone, really. So what was that Fibonacci, the 382 and the 50% in relation to that we were looking at there? Well, of course, this is from the lows in March up to the highs in August, and we can see that the 8,500 is the, of course, the 50% retrace area, and then the next key area for us comes in there at the sort of the mid 7,000s. Now, just to kind of reiterate then again, I suppose for us, in terms of this thing, we've got a gap in here. So this is a big gap. Let me get the brush out again. This is a big gap in this area here that we need to be aware of. Coming in and filling this in obviously gives us a sort of 1618 retracement as well on a different Fibonacci. So there you go. But we also have a couple of other gaps that are actually further down than this. And there's including this one here. This is a 4-hour gap. Now, there's these hourly gaps as well that are slightly lower than it. I'm not going to put too much weight on these, but the 4-hour gaps do also tend to get filled in as well. And we might want to look towards that 7,500 area thereafter if we did see some downward side price action. Okie dokie. But what we have to remember is that we're going to try and remain objective on this thing and say that we had this low, we've had this high. So far, this is looking like higher low, and so far we're on the way potentially to putting in a higher high, and we have a green line here. This of course is our little traffic light setup that we have just now. I suppose the red light and the green light here, the green light coming in at 11,120, 130 or so, wherever that happens to be at 100, let's call it 11,150, shall we? And the red light comes back in again at 11,000 or 10,000. Yeah, 10,750. And that's what we spoke about last week as being key areas for us. So we're already kind of familiar with where we've been and where we could be going. And that is what we need to be aware of. So let's just then wrap this up by talking about the oscillators down below and how things are looking at the moment. And while on the 24-hour time frame, let me just get rid of all my muck. How long are we into this? 12 minutes. Okay, so we're doing okay. I wanted it to be less than 10 minutes, but well, I mean, I did a lot of drawings, didn't I? That kind of, there's your fluff for you. I also talked about tea and cake. So yeah, let me see. So this is what we were looking at here, and we're saying that in terms of the 24-hour time frame, we have had this low and this high and blah blah blah, and so far that's come in, and we've not managed to put in any sort of divergence necessarily as such. But what we could look to would be this high and say that compared to this high over here, this high here, which is lower in price action, so this lower high, what we have here is a higher high on the stochastics. So you've got hidden bearish divergence there, hidden on here between these 2 points. The RSI is not showing that up, but what we could also have as well is if we come up here towards this high of 11,000 and the RSI extends much further than it already is, just go back to the thingy and bring this up. It extends much further than it already is, then of course we would have some hidden bearish divergence. We also have a sort of swing failure point to be bearing in mind in and around this area just here. And then in terms of the DMI, what we have here is a cross on the 24-hour time frame, which is very much in chop land. So like this negative cross that happened is in chop land. This positive cross which has happened is also, which is about to happen perhaps, if we go up to those highs, would also be in chop land. So I'd look out for that. We don't have strength of trend in terms of this upward trend remaining on the charts. And going over to the 4-hour time frame, just to wrap this up now, then we can say that in between these two highs here, there is a bearish divergence on the stochastics. It's not showing up there on the RSI. There is this hidden bullish divergence perhaps with this low here compared to this low here, if you want to look at it like that, where we've got a lower low. That's convergent, so that's maybe class B, but I'm not going to split hairs on it. And then and where we also find ourselves right now is at the point of control in terms of this price action since the start of the 9th of September or so. If we include all of that price action, then we can see the point of control still remains below us until we go back to include the higher price action. As soon as you include all of the price action on there, then of course it flicks back down again to where we were talking about before, where that 382 is. So that's kind of good. I kind of want to take this point of control off. It's a bit distracting for me. But that's it. Now, I've got a wee update for you. This DMI has been updated. You can now see that the area between 20 and 25 is actually orange, so it's even better. So if you want to get access to that, join the Discord. I'll just give you a copy of it. No problemo. We had a chat today in the Monday chat. So if you want to be taking part in that, then you're more than welcome to join us. Every Monday, we have a live audio chat amongst the members, and we update each other on trading and what we're thinking about in the markets and life in general. And as well, there's a couple of days left on terms of the Bitcoin giveaway. So if you're looking to take part in that, then you absolutely should. Just have to say Rocky You Rock in a comment down below any of the videos that I put out during September, and a random commenter will win 10 Satoshis for every view the channel gets during the month of September. Lovely jubbly. Okie dokie, I'm going to go move on and do the Ethereum, Chainlink and Tezos videos now, and this video is 15 minutes long. It's a bit longer than I want it to be by about 50%. Maybe come back and do it properly tomorrow, get it under 10 minutes. It was quite simple, this sort of stuff, and tomorrow we'll keep it even simpler for you all. And it was quite simple. Am I actually just talking rubbish there? Might be. This is obviously quite complex for people who don't trade at all, who have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you follow along with the channel, you'll probably think, if you actually tell you what, here's a good marker for yourself. If you think that what we've talked about today has been quite simple, then you're getting a lot better at your TA, a lot better. If you think that what we've talked about today is fairly complicated, then hit that subscribe button for sure and come back, because in no time at all, you'll actually go from zero to hero in terms of your technical analysis. And there's also a lot of good things that I can point to give people an idea about how these things go for people. This comment here by Kevin Corey, this is what I wanted to point out. Super appreciate your hard work in your TA. Trying to make a career of this myself right now. Been learning a lot. Thanks for your TA. He asked me how long I've been trading and stuff like that. We got back to each other and talked a wee bit. Then he put in these two comments here I thought were worth reading out for everybody, just so you know why you should subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate all this time that you put into these responses. Very kind of you. Seems like you got a pretty good heart towards helping others. Well, cheers, buddy. That's very nice of you to point that out. Yeah, it's insane all that I've learned, to put thousands of hours in this year of learning, and yes, just and saying how much I felt like I've learned and how much more there is to learn. I'm actually to the point where I'm starting to get pretty decent at trading, considering how long I've been doing this work. But your TA is just unbelievable. I keep learning. Takes a lot of time or a lot of patience, or both, and to never be greedy, to do well in this market. I lost thousands of dollars in the beginning, but I'm starting to slowly get back to where I started and to break even, and it feels pretty good. Thank you so much. Well, you're very much welcome, Kevin. Really do appreciate the comment. Keep up the good work, man. Never forget there's a lot of people out there that appreciate you so much for the work you do for us, so that we can learn the way this market works and the knowledge you have. Pretty awesome to see, man. God bless you, brother. And it's so happy. I'm so happy to read comments like that. So happy to read comments like that. It's really, really great. Anyway, I appreciate all of you. Allium there as well, of course. Every single person. Join the Discord. All that good stuff. You'll meet a family of people who really appreciate the effort that you put into to the channel and to the community. So thank you so much. I'll see you next time.